It wasn't an algorithm. You need to understand that first. The images and sounds you were shown, the cryptic numbers that appeared in your recommendations, that was a signal, a tuning fork resonating with something already inside of you. You were chosen because you are one of the few who senses that the reality we see is just a fraction of the whole story. A beautiful, hypnotic, but fragmented echo. For months, you've been collecting those echoes, feeling their power without understanding the source. Consider this video the first translation of that source. This is not another theory or a guess. This is the blueprint, the very architecture of the philosophy you've been subconsciously drawn to. What you are about to see is the key that elevates you from a mere spectator of the mystery to an active participant in its unfolding. The puzzle pieces are in your hands. Now, let's begin to assemble them.
Things don't always vanish. Sometimes they simply cease to be. Or perhaps they never were, though that is a thought far more difficult to embrace. We've all been there. You look for something you remember with absolute precision, the shape, the weight, the specific sound it made when you put it down. A knife with a chipped blade, a yellowing photograph, a book with a torn corner. Yet, it's gone. Not in the drawer, not in the box. Nowhere at all. And perhaps never was. It has evaporated like a dream at dawn. The world is full of these liminal objects. They dwell on the threshold of perception, between the known and the intuited. They never appear in the center of your vision. You catch them sideways, in passing. But when you turn your head, they're gone. Ancient cultures had names for them. The Maya called them nahual, shifting spirit objects. Taoist schools speak of wu, or active non-being, entities that manifest and then retreat beyond the veil. Even in phenomenology, Maurice Merleau-Ponty described the object not as a static given, but as an event, something that only happens in the moment it is perceived. But to be honest, I prefer the modern take and see it as a system failure, a synchronization error between memory and reality, as if the universe occasionally updated its firmware and quietly removed a few entries from the changelog. You remember them, but no one else has ever seen them. No one confirms. And you begin to doubt. First yourself, then the world. And then you arrive at that age-old question: what is actually real? What persists, or what appears? Some people even collect them. They're called invisible collectors, keepers of what isn't, archivists of absence. Entire online catalogs exist filled with missing items. Some are banal, a certain scented eraser sold in the early 90s, a remote control that only adjusted volume. Others more unsettling. A VHS tape that recorded by itself. A ring of keys that opened nothing, yet no one dared throw away. A sculpture found in an attic and lost again during a move, though no one ever admitted owning it. Objects without authors, or with too many. Silent witnesses of another timeline. Echoes of parallel realities. Fragments without body. Or bodies without fragment? I know, you're thinking it's just your memory playing tricks, and science has explanations, of course. Confabulation, recall bias, the Mandela effect. Fair enough. But if every one of your memories is subject to error, then what's left of you? And why are the disappearances so precise? They leave behind a hollow shape, a perfect echo of what should have been there. Sometimes they reappear, but never quite right. A different hue, a missing screw, a label you've never seen. A subtle twist in space that tells you, yes, it's almost that thing, but also know. It's like a recurring dream where the setting is familiar, yet everything is wrong. Some philosophers, like Quentin Meillassoux, speak of ancestral facts, events that happened before any consciousness existed to register them. And yet, we bear traces of them. But let's flip the logic. What if there are post-conscious facts? Future objects casting shadows backward in time. That unrecognized key in your pocket, or the note in your handwriting that you don't remember writing, might be ontological tendencies, reality trying to reorganize itself. Of course, that doesn't mean every loss is profound. Things often vanish simply because the world is unstable, and our perception is a filter, not a lens. But some vanishings feel designed. They become a fetish in the philosophical sense, an object defined entirely by its absence, a ritual emptiness made flesh. They'll tell you it's nostalgia, that you're projecting your need for order, for coherence, for mystery onto the world. Maybe. But what difference does it make? Even an illusion, when shared, generates real effects. And who decides what once was? History? The archive? Or that nagging, pulling sensation at the back of your mind when you recall something you cannot prove? Let me give you an example. In 1973, in a small town near Rennes, a man claimed he had spent years building small votive objects, copper spirals, holed stones, glass shards, based on designs shown to him in dreams. He buried them in the woods, in specific spots, following maps he drew upon waking. At his death, nothing was found. Not the objects, not the maps. Only a single line inscribed in a notebook. I've never seen them, but I know they're there. See you in the next episode.